guild is a union of people of the same profession who interactively work together for the achievement of a common goal. There exist two types of guilds, merchant guilds and craft guilds. Guilds began to exist in the 11th century, but in the 15th century they began to decline and later on ceased to exist. The growth of towns is what initially led to the formation of guilds. Guilds helped in the creation of municipal government. Essentially, some guilds were social or religious associations. These two types were the most common at the beginning of the formation of guilds. Due to the government being weak, men felt the urge to take actions into their own hands. So they formed groups to promote common interests. These groups are known as guilds. Merchant guilds were formed for one main purpose, which was to protect commerce and industry in towns. Towns were not under the control of the feudal system, had no laws regulating economic affairs. As a result, town charters declared that the inhabitants of a town could form a guild. Usually the leader of these guilds became leaders of municipal government. Each town has only one guild, which consists of both merchants and craftsmen. Members of the guild had a monopoly on the trade in a town. They also monopolized production in towns. The economic life of the town was controlled by guilds. They fixed prices and wages and made sure that the manufacturers are reliable and well trained. Other duties carried out by the guilds was the establishment of schools, promotion of the interests of the Catholic Church, and served as a social club. Craft guilds were formed in the 12th and 13th centuries, when members of each profession began to organize their own guild. The main job of a craft guild was to supervise the quality of produced goods, organize the working hours, and approve the admission of new guild members. A craft guild is considered successful if it eventually achieves monopoly on the trade of the good it produces. Three classes were present in a craft guild: masters, journeymen, and apprentices. Masters were the leaders. After them came the journeymen, who learned the craft and were paid by masters. Then came the apprentices. They were the lowest class. The rise of craft guilds weakened the merchants guild. As a result, there was a long period of conflict between the two. The trouble did not stop there. There was also conflict within the craft guilds themselves. Trouble between the craft guilds occurred because masters wanted to preserve monopoly to themselves by allowing fewer journeymen to become masters. Guilds further declined because the trade between towns and countries increased, and guilds were not capable of coping with the global economy. As a result, large-scale business enterprises who engaged in large-scale trade formed, and guilds who operated in a single town gradually ceased to exist. Mercantilism is an economic policy which promoted the exports of finished goods, reduced the exports of unprocessed raw materials, to decrease all imports except of needed raw materials. In other words, the main aim of mercantilism was to transition from town to natural units of social living. This directly promoted global trade, which eventually led to the decline of the guilds, as stated previously.